Hey guys, here today showing you how to replace a AC compressor on a 2006 Jeep Commander. This particular model has a 4.7 liter V8 Powertech V8. This procedure should work on pretty much most Jeep Grand Cherokees from 2000 to 09. Actually, the year range should be from about 2000 to 2009. I think they got rid of this motor in like 07 or 08 possibly, but still should have the same layout with the compressor here that's on top. But yeah, this is a 4.7 liter, which is found in the Grand Cherokee, Dodge Dakota, Dodge Durango, the Dodge Ram 1500, obviously the Jeep Commander, and the Chrysler Aspen, and also the Mitsubishi Raider. So yeah, you won't need a lot of tools for this job. You will need to, I'll leave this at your discretion. If your compressor or if your system is still charged when you release these pressure lines, obviously all of that's going to escape into the atmosphere. So you can decide if you want to just let that happen. If you did want to do that, just loosen up the high pressure line, which is the skinny one here, and then just don't loosen it all the way, just barely lift this up, and then you'll hear all the air escaping. You will get some oil and stuff like that on the side, and then you can just wipe it off later. Or if you want to do like this person did, this customer, I had them go to the AC shop, they discharged the system, they evacuated all the stuff that was in there. So now when I loosen up these lines, nothing's going to come out of them, there will be nothing in there. It's not under any kind of pressure at all. So you could do whichever way you want. You could take it to a shop. Of course, they're going to charge you to do the evac, or you can do it here at home. I'm not condoning that you release this stuff into the atmosphere, because some people care about that stuff. But either way, you can do that. You need to do that. So obviously you got to get a new compressor, and then pretty much you'll need a 15mm socket or wrench, an extension possibly. You could take off this fan shroud if you want to give yourself some more room, but you shouldn't need to, and I'm not going to. This compressor is only held on by two 15mm bolts. There's one that's directly in front of the oil fill here, right where I'm pointing, and then there's another one that's right here next to the alternator, right under this belt. You can see it. They're both look to be pretty easy to get to. I don't see any other hidden bolts or anything like that. And then there's just one connector here on top, and then the two 13mm nuts that are here. I'm going to loosen up both of these here using a 13mm socket, and you go ahead and just set them to the side. See, this is not under any kind of pressure, so you can just pull it off and just leave it to the side how it is. And then same for the other one. Sorry for the wind noise if it's very windy. Like I said, you have to lift this up and then loosen this up here, and you should be able to take that off. And you can go ahead and lift this hose off as well, and just set them both down to the side. This box needs to come off in order to get this thing to come free completely, and you'll have extra space. You'll need to take off this connector here. You just squeeze it, pull it off, and then you'll need a flathead screwdriver to loosen up the clamp that's right here. So you can go ahead and loosen that up, and then just pop this hose off right here. And then in the very back right here behind this bar, your car may not have this bar here, but if it does, if you come around the side of the car and look in the back of the box, there's another clamp just like this one that you need to loosen up so that you can take the air box off. And after that is loose, now normally on these boxes there are two bolts that are holding onto the side on both sides. There's one directly below this, there's a bolt here, and mine is missing. There should be another one on the other side, and mine is missing as well, probably because they didn't want to put them back on. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you the size of those. I'm going to assume that they're 10mm bolts. They could be 11mm bolts, but either way, mine doesn't have it here, but they are going to be there. So you can loosen this up and just pull it straight out. And if you look here, this is where the bolts are supposed to go. but like I said, mine don't have any at all. So yeah, so you'll just have to go accordingly to what you have. So now we're going to need to release the serpentine belt. You will need to take a picture or note how it was on. Sometimes there is a sticker that shows a belt diagram of which way it goes on, but I can't find one on this car, so I just took a picture of it. I mean, I guess you could always Google it if you need to, but there is a tensioner that's right down in the bottom. You can probably see the top of it right there. There is a 15mm bolt that's directly in the center of that. You just stick a 15mm, I get like a long ratchet here, stick a 15mm right down onto that, and then you'll turn it clockwise, and you can see the tension of the belt is now off. So you go on ahead, just turn it this way, and then you can just slip the belt off like so, and then just leave it off of the compressor. You might be able to get away with just leaving the belt hanging onto the alternator at least, so that way you know where everything goes. I'm just going to leave it right here. Now the compressor is free. The next thing you want to do is to unplug this here connector. There's a little red tab that's on it, you see here. You need to push it towards the back of the car. You just push it like this, and then just squeeze the end and pull it off. Set it to the side. So there's one right here in the front that you can see. That's right there where I'm pointing at. There is one directly behind this here, right straight down where I'm pointing at. You can see it's attached to the compressor. I believe that might be a 13mm bolt, and then there is the one 15mm bolt that's, honestly, you can't miss it. It's right next to the alternator bolt, and that's all there is. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen these up so that we can get this compressor out. The second bolt, this bolt in the middle, is a little bit hard to reach, but it's probably a really long bolt also, but you should be able to get it out. You may have to spin the fan, the engine fan around some, so you don't hit it when you're taking this bolt out, because it's pretty long. But this is the bolt that's here. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the one bolt that's right here on the back. I don't know if I can get a good angle at it, but it's directly, you can just see the end of it. You can just see the end of it right there where my finger is pointing right there. That's where it's at right there. So we'll go ahead and loosen that one up, and then compressor should be free. Okay, after you've taken off this back bolt here, I'm trying to sit here and pry it loose with this flathead screwdriver over here to get it to break free, but it's not. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you notice right here on the front bolt, if you look directly below, there's another 15mm that's attaching to a bracket. So I think if we loosen that up, it should give us a little bit more play to be able to maneuver this compressor out. There we go. Yep. Now you're just gonna have to try and wrestle it free. You can use a pry bar over here on this side to kind of pop it up off of the engine, but as you can see, the compressor is now loose. It's just a matter of getting it out. Okay, now that that is loose and out of the way, this should be able to be wrestled out of here pretty freely, and then you can just lift it straight up and remove it. Okay, after lots and lots of wrestling, finally got the old compressor out. I found that this mount in the back on the long bolt that's on the alternator side has this little bushing here that should slide back and forth as you tighten it up. What I found is when it was on like this, I simply just took a hammer and I hit the back of the compressor like this a lot, enough to get this bushing to become loose. Then I was able to wiggle it out of its space. So just a tip, have your new compressor that's here, and most likely will come with little covers like this to keep the ports clean and free of anything. You can go on ahead and remove these two caps. Actually, you can remove them at the end. You can go on ahead and now just reinstall the new compressor. If this bushing gives you any problems, you can go on ahead and just hit it this way, away from the pulley a little bit. Don't take it all the way out, but just hit it slightly. It should move a little bit in order to enable to get you to be able to slide it back over this here space. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall this one now. Slid back over easily. And go on ahead and I'm gonna put the long bolt in that's near the alternator first, just to hold it in place there. You want to make sure that you're able to start all your bolts before you tighten any of them up. Don't forget that when you install this bottom one here, to put the bracket back on. Okay, once you got them all started and started by hand, then you can go ahead and tighten them all up, and then we'll go on ahead and put everything else back together. Okay, once you got all the compressor bolts tightened back up, the one right here by the alternator, the bracket, and the two here on the bottom, and the 13mm on the back, you can go on ahead and reconnect the connector that you had to take out, which is just this one here. If you'll now, well, at least on this connector, it's in a different position, but it's still the same connector, just slides back into place. Oops, I think someone messed this up here. Connector just slides back on like so and locks. Then we'll go on ahead and reinstall the air box. It just pretty much slides directly back onto this here piece, and you need to tighten up that back clamp. If yours did have the two bolts here, you need to go ahead and tighten those back on, and then reinstall this hose and tighten it back up. Okay, after you got that air box back on and reinstalled, both the clamps tightened, the electrical connector back on, both the two bottom bolts that were on there, you can go on ahead and take off the caps that came on your new compressor, and just, they're probably going to be, you know, might make like a little pop noise when you pull them out, like this one, see, it doesn't want to come out. But you need to pull both these caps off, and then go on ahead and reinstall the two AC lines that came on. You don't have to tighten them very tight. Obviously this is aluminum, so you don't have to tighten them very tight, just get them snug, and then after that we can put on the serpentine belt. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off. Okay, I got the caps off of the compressor. As I mentioned, you can go ahead and put the AC lines back on, and don't tighten them too much. Like in the beginning of the video, I personally like to put the belt on first and then do that, just because the lines won't be in the way. However, you could do it whichever way you want. It really doesn't matter. It works both ways. So yeah, now as we loosened up the belt, you're gonna stick the 15mm back onto the tensioner, then you're gonna turn the tensioner to the right so that you can get the belt to come back up again on top of the AC compressor. And then you can go on ahead and make sure that the belt is lined up evenly. Oh, you see the belt's not lined up evenly down there on the fan, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and make sure that the belt is seated nicely on all the pulleys, how it should be, and then go on ahead and put the AC lines back on if you didn't, or if you already did, then that's pretty much it, you're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those back on. Okay, so now that you got your new compressor on, you will have caps that are on the compressor normally, like little plastic caps that are covering it. You can go on ahead and take those off, and then you'll need to transfer the studs that are on the old compressor to the new compressor. You'll need a Torx E8 socket, slides right over like that. You can take these off and then just install them onto the new holes in your new compressor. Okay, I got the lines tightened back on now. The belt's on, and all the connectors are reconnected. So that's pretty much all there is to this procedure. I apologize if things were out of order a little bit. First time I've ever done one on this car. So actually, on my channel. It's probably going to be a lot of first time things that you've seen me doing. I mean, brakes are obviously easy for most cars, but there are certain things that I have not done yet, so you have to excuse me for that. But nonetheless, this is on. Hopefully you got yours on well. Now you just need to take it to the AC shop and have them hook it up to their machine, charge it up, make sure they check the pressures and whatnot. They know what they're doing. So yeah, so if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section below. If this is your first time to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And if you could hit the subscribe button on your way out, I would greatly appreciate that. All right, guys, I will talk to you next time.